Rewatching Yu Yu Hakusho has been a great experience. Every episode I watch, I get reminded of how incredible this anime is. But the best part is that it's only gonna get better. So our story starts off with Yusuke trudging through this forest. He's mad that Botan convinced him to do this, and we get a little flashback of what went down. Botan pulled up on Yusuke while he was skipping class, of course, up on the roof. She lets him know that there's a masterful psychic named Genkai. Her time is coming to an end soon, so she's decided to take on a student and teach them her techniques. Apparently, her most infamous technique, the spirit wave, is extremely powerful. Botan says that she also got word that a demon's pulling up in order to try and learn this skill from her as well. A demon named Rando. Rando is a human hunter and an ability stealer. Whenever he steals the ability of a psychic, he endlessly tests them out on humans until he finds the limit of his new powers. And apparently, Spirit World found out that he's planning to go to Genkai's disguised as a human in order to learn her power. So Yusuke's mission is to learn the power from Genkai so it doesn't fall into Rando's hands. At first, Yusuke don't even want to take the mission. He's more worried about getting a relaxing weekend in, but Botan convinced him with some tickets to this fight that he really wanted to watch. Now back in real time, he's sick that he actually has to go through with it. He don't just get the tickets for free. But finally, after climbing up all these stairs, he makes it to the entrance where it's got this weird barrier around it. As he goes through, he sees all these people who have gathered here to try and learn Genkai's technique. It's at least a couple hundred people in here, and of course, who pulls up? My dog Kuwabara. Yusuke like, bro, what is you doing here, bro? You got no business being around here. But Kuwabara tells him that he wants to go to Genkai in order for her to turn down all of his awareness to the spiritual senses. He's tired of it. Yusuke just can't believe that he's here right now, but what he gonna do about it? We get to overhear some people say how difficult these trials are about to be, and Yusuke thinks to himself, if the trials are so difficult, he's probably not gonna be able to pass, he's gonna be able to go home, and Botan's not gonna be on this case because he failed while trying to pass it anyways. All of a sudden, the main door starts to open, and there steps out one of the most powerful psychic users in the world, Master Genkai. Yusuke, of course, shocked that it's this tiny old lady, but nonetheless, she instantly gives instructions to the crowd. The first of these quote-unquote extreme tests are gonna be the drawing of lots. So everybody's feeling some type of way since it's pretty much luck based, but Yusuke goes up thinking, hey, I'll just get unlucky, draw a blank card, and I'll be good. Kuwabara's on the side thinking, I didn't even come here to be Genkai's apprentice. I just wanted her help turning down my spirit awareness. Genkai lets him know that if you open your lot and it's red, then you pass. If it's blank, then you lose. Yusuke and Kuwabara are both hoping they're blank, but of course, they both draw red ones. She tells everybody that didn't draw a red lot to get the on. But as she turns around, these two buff-ass dudes pull up behind her. They like, hey, we ain't come from all this far, the two strongest warriors of our village, to come and get turned around because of some RNG. We not going for that. Genkai is unfazed as per usual. She's like, I'm gonna need you two to think real hard about this one. Why do you think your lots didn't turn red? Whole time, the lots all were blank, and they only turn red if you had enough spirit energy. Of course, they don't know what she's talking about, so they lunge towards her, but without even moving a finger, she sends them flying with her spirit wave. Everybody gets to see it for the first time in action, and now Yusuke's intrigued. She's like, back in the day, I would have killed him. I guess I am getting old. As she starts walking towards the next phase. Yusuke is finally understanding why evil monsters want to go after this power. He decides to pull out his watch, which is a spirit detective tool that pretty much tells him where demons are. When he tries to use it, it starts going crazy, spinning everywhere and ends up exploding. He's like, damn, so Rando really is here. And judging by how the watch reacted, it seems like he's stronger than I originally thought. When they pull up for the second phase of Genkai's test, it's a room filled with games. One of the participants asks what games got to do with learning her technique, and she's like, nothing really, but these aren't no normal type of games. The punching game tests your spirit power, the rock paper scissors game tests your spirit awareness, and the karaoke game tests your spirit energies adaptability. First dude goes up to try to punch a game, gets a 18. You need 100 to pass, and he's not even close. Physical power means absolutely nothing on these games. So Kuwabara goes up for the next turn, punches it, gets a 129. He starts talking to Yusuke, and Yusuke like, man, this look broken. Let me test it out for you. He goes up, punches it, gets a 155. He like, nah, I think it's working just fine. Genkai peeps Yusuke's score and realizes he's got some real strength to him. When Kuwabara does the RPS game, he gets a high score and she notices his spiritual awareness is extremely high. We get to see some other contestants do some other games, but in particular, this dude got a 175 on the punching game, even higher than Yusuke's score. Genkai realizes she's got some candidates with high potential. So everybody continues to play the games until they narrow down the top 20 candidates. For phase 3, Genkai takes the candidates to the dark forest. As soon as they pull up, people are already starting to notice all of this life energy that's coming from inside the forest. Genkai tells them there's countless demons and traps and spirits residing in the forest. Their goal is to get to the big tree that's on the other end of the forest within 2 hours. A couple people instantly run off, and Genkai starts laughing, saying she can't blame them. Anybody with even a little bit of spirit awareness will be able to tell that this forest is gonna rip you apart. The strong dude from before starts talking, like, yeah, I could tell how dangerous this forest is. It's no place for little ass kids, as he stares right at Yusuke. Yusuke gets all up in his face, like, you just want me to run so I don't have a chance of getting Genkai's power cause you scared of me. Regardless of what you say, I'm going through this forest. And Kuwabara pulls him off to the side, like, if you going, then I'm going. So as everybody lines up, Genkai sends them off. She runs up to the front, running faster than everybody else. Like, I'll be waiting for y'all at the end. Remember, y'all got 2 hours. Y'all have to use your spirit awareness to find the quickest path there. Yusuke's like, spirit awareness? Man, forget about all that. Everybody knows that the straight path is the fastest, so he runs straight through the forest. As we see other people going around, people are getting caught in traps, getting tangled up in vines, but other people are able to dodge these traps and even defeat demons while on their way to the end. About an hour and a half later, still nobody has made it to the tree. Genkai's just there waiting, and she decides to check up on them. She sees all these people scattered around the forest, and while some are close, none of them have made it yet. Then we finally get to see a view of Yusuke. We see him all beaten up because he took the straight path when he finally sees an open area, but as he walks into it, he gets attacked. As he looks around, he's surrounded by bats. But that's nothing he's too scared at, because honestly, what's a couple bats gonna do? All of a sudden, he sees the head honcho. This is Baldock. He's like, look who stepped into Baldock's territory. Now it's time to feast. And he charges right towards Yusuke. We get another view of Genkai with 15 minutes remaining. The first person to make it there was my man's Kuwabara. His exceptional spirit awareness allowed him to find the quickest path and make it there first. Shortly after, these 2 other people followed up right behind him. They was quote unquote messing around too much in the forest and got a little bit behind, but they swear they could have got there first if they was really trying. Back to Yusuke, he's over here just taking hits from Baldock. His main thing is his speed, so he's flying around getting these little attacks in while Yusuke doesn't have time to retaliate. Baldock's like, you a little tough, but eventually I'm gonna wear you down. I could do this forever. As he goes in for his next attack, instead of landing a hit like normal, he's met by Yusuke's fist. He finally got his first hit off. He's like, okay, you got a lucky hit. He goes in for his next attack, but by the time he's there, Yusuke's disappeared. Turns out he jumped up above and landed with the kick, completely sending Baldock to the ground. He's like, you might be fast, but it's not even close compared to Hiei. If only you was a little stronger, you might have been able to do something. He ended up having to memorize his attack patterns and wasted a ton of time, so he's barely got any time to make it back to Genkai. By the time that the 2 hours is up, only 7 contestants made it, and Yusuke's not there. Kuwabara's like, whoa, there's supposed to be one more person. Genkai's like, sorry, I don't make exceptions. Of course, Yusuke just now comes running up the hill. As he makes it to the top, he's like, maybe the straight path wasn't the fastest. Genkai's like, wait, no way you went up through the straight path, right? You would have ran into a crazy bat demon. He's like, oh, Baldock? Yeah, I took care of him real good, and starts laughing, but Kuwabara pulls him off to the side. Like, dumbass, you ain't realize you went over the time limit. Yusuke's about to tweet, like, what? I went over the time limit? She's like, you did. But just this one time, I'll make an exception. So Yusuke, Kuwabara, and the other 6 participants follow Genkai to the 4th phase. On the sidelines, turns out Koenma's watching this entire thing go down. He's worried about Rando getting Genkai's power and also wants to see how Yusuke's doing as well. As they all make it to the door to the 4th phase, Genkai lets him know from here on, it's no turning back. The 4th phase is going to be a 1v1 tournament. You either fight until you're dead or incapacitated. No in-betweens. As the door opens and everybody walks in, they quickly shut right behind them. And when the door is shut, it's completely dark. Nobody can see a thing. When the lantern near Genkai turns on, she lets him know that every fight of this phase is going to be held in complete darkness. You're not supposed to see with your eyes, but sense with your spirit awareness. Whole time, Kuwabara's getting a bad feeling about something around him. He's feeling like one of the beasts from the forest followed them into the room they're in right now. Yusuke's like, damn, so Rando must have made it all the way up to this phase. And Kuwabara's like, Rando, who is that? As Yusuke tells him that it's a demon he's hunting after, and it seems like it's one of these participants. He asks Kuwabara if he could sense this evil energy coming from one of these people, but Kuwabara says it's too hard to tell. He can feel the evil energy, but it's extremely well hidden. All of a sudden, morning, 8 arrows fall from the sky, and that's going to determine the order in which they fight. Over in Spirit World, Koema gets to see the bracket. The first match is between these two, who after looking at their power report are pretty evenly matched. Dude in the red is a bodyguard and the dude in the gray is a hitman. Before they advance to fight, he asks Genkai if she's going to hold anything against him if he turns out to be a cold-hearted killer. She lets him know that she puts all ethics to the side. She don't care who it is, as long as you're strong enough, she's going to pass down her technique to anybody. That lets Yusuke know that he's really got to come out on top, because if he don't, she's not going to hesitate to hand it over to Rando, and who knows how many he's going to kill with this power. So as the two are walking into darkness to start their fight, of course they talking to each other. Finally, Genkai tells them to stop and go ahead and start the fight. As they start fighting, we can hear clashes, but nobody could see anything. Well, normally nobody could see anything but Kuwabara. As we know, Kuwabara's got crazy spiritual awareness, so he's calling out the plays as they're happening in real time. We get to see the hitman pushing back the bodyguard. He's going crazy, making him play completely on the defensive, but out of nowhere, the bodyguard hits him with a crazy blast of spirit energy, completely blowing him away. Yusuke's like, damn, was that the spirit gun? But he's like, nah, that shit was way stronger than mine. That can't be the spirit gun. So the bodyguard walks out as the winner, thinking, damn, I didn't want to reveal that so soon. Yusuke's thinking in his head like, man, if it's not the spirit gun, what is it? It seems super similar, when he hears a voice in his head saying, well, they are similar techniques. Whole time is Botan speaking to him through telepathy. So he steps outside, and there she is, sitting up on top of a tree. Botan goes ahead and breaks down the bodyguard's technique, seeing he sends a blast of energy throughout his entire palm. It's pretty similar to the spirit gun, but the difference is, after he uses his, he still has a lot more spirit energy left in the tank, unlike Yusuke, who's a one and done. But out of nowhere, Kuwabara pulls up on some nonsense. He like, Yusuke, who is this? Are you cheating on Keiko? That's supposed to be your girl. I can't believe you would do something like this. But Yusuke's like, chill, bruh, chill. This is Botan. She's just my assistant, as I'm on a case right now as spirit detective. He lets Kuwabara know about Rando, and he's like, oh, well, shit, that looks for you. Sound difficult. He skips right past Yusuke, goes straight towards Botan, and he's just looking at her crazy. Whole time, Kuwabara's trying to spit game. He take her by the hand like, please, lady, will you be my wife? But Genkai interrupts all three of them. She like, if y'all don't want to be disqualified, get your ass back inside. But she did recognize Botan, realizing that Yusuke is a spirit detective. She's actually cool with Koema, so she knows all about the spirit world and all type of stuff. So she's a little bit more interested now that she knows that Yusuke is the spirit detective. The next fight of the tournament is this little boy versus big dude, and the little boy just barely comes out on top. For our third fight, we get to see Kuwabara versus this swordsman. If we being honest, Kuwabara's completely outmatched. In terms of fighting with spirit energy, this dude obviously has way more experience, so it's not looking too hot for my mans. The swordsman starts talking like, hey, I'm not gonna blame you if you want to quit. Go ahead, do what you gotta do. I ain't gonna judge. But if you don't want to quit, I'ma have to cut you down. Of course, Kuwabara not going for that. He's feeling confident in his spirit awareness since he could see him clear as day, but all of a sudden, he can't. Dude's like, I know all about your little spirit awareness, being able to see in the dark, woo woo woo, but I got me a little special power too. This swordsman has enough control over his spirit energy in order to completely mask his presence. So before, when Kuwabara could sense his spirit energy, now he can't sense anything. Out of nowhere, he gets struck from behind. Kuwabara tries to run and chase after him, but he disappears back into the darkness. Kuwabara's one advantage in this fight was completely taken away from him. And with the odds all against him, he starts getting his ass whooped. Bro starts putting their hands on him. He's punching him, kicking him, doing all types of stuff. As Kuwabara's just getting whooped on, Botan and Yusuke are trying to give him tips like, hey, stop yelling, bro. It's easier for him to find you when you yell. And Botan like, try not to get hurt too bad. They really not being no help. Kuwabara's just getting more mad. Samurai starts talking shit once again. He's like, you might as well give up. You can't see me, you can't fight me, you destined to lose. But Kuwabara nowhere near that. He like, you can hit me 1,000,000 times. Them little punches ain't shit. So the samurai's like, alright then, you leave me no choice, as he pulls out a wooden sword. Kuwabara's like, wooden sword, what the hell? But the samurai explains it's a special sword which enhances your spirit energy. So the attacks using this are going to deal extra damage. He lunges towards Kuwabara and lands with a direct hit. He follows with a crazy ass combo, just piecing Kuwabara up. Kuwabara has yet to get an actual hit in. He's getting pieced up for a good 20 seconds. That shit is crazy. But when the samurai lands, he realized Kuwabara actually broke the sword with just his solid defense. So he gives him his props and starts walking back towards Genkai, thinking that he won, but Kuwabara grabs the piece of the sword that broke off and starts getting back up. This is where Samurai starts getting a little nervous. You see, he's starting to sweat now and everything, but he starts to get his composure back a little bit and hides back into the darkness. The Samurai like, you may have survived the first one, but this second strike for sure gonna get it done. Kuwabara's like, damn, why couldn't I get a better piece to defend myself? If I got maybe half the sword, I might have been able to do something. Samurai pulls up on him with an attack, and instinctively, Kuwabara puts up his little piece of the the sword in order to defend, and out of nowhere, Kuwabara's spirit energy musters into the form of a sword. The samurai is shocked at what the f***'s going on, but Kuwabara don't know either. Genkai instantly realizes that he subconsciously used spirit energy materialization, which is manipulating your spirit energy into a solid object, in this case, a sword. They struggle back and forth for a little second, but Kuwabara's spirit sword is just too strong. He cracks the samurai sword and sends him flying, ultimately winning the round. The final match is of course Yusuke. As his opponent is walking into the darkness, Yusuke's just sitting there. Kuwabara like, oh, you getting cold feet? You getting scared? And he's like, nah, I was just saying a little prayer for you since you about to get packed up. Genkai gets mad that he's playing around, talking about any more delay and you're gonna be disqualified. Get your ass out there. So he take off his jacket like, all right, let me stop playing. Let's go ahead and get this fight started. So as they're in the darkness, Yusuke's like, damn, this really dark for real. But at least I'm not the only one who can't see. But dude interrupts him like, you're wrong. I actually can see. And Yusuke like, bruh, ain't no point in bluffing. You don't got no spirit awareness like Kuwabara. I know you can't see me. But as he steps back, bro calls it out like, I seen you just step backwards. Kuwabara screams from the side like, yo, he's got some weird type of mask on. And dude starts to explain that this is his own creation. Dude think he's some type of mad scientist or whatever, but he made some type of mask that dulls his sight, hearing, and smell in order to raise his spiritual awareness. A sort of give and take type of thing. You lose your physical senses, but gain a little bit more spirit senses. Using this mask, he could see Yusuke clear as day. As he focuses on Yusuke, he sees he's got a real sporadic aura. Unfortunately for Yusuke, that makes him even easier to spot. He instantly rushes Yusuke, hitting him with a right, and follows up with a kick to the face. Yusuke manages to dodge the next one and tries throwing a rock in retaliation, just using his hearing to try and guess where he is, but dude dodges it, ends up getting 2 clean licks on Yusuke, while Yusuke doesn't get anything in return. Yusuke rushes him down and hits him with a little 3-piece combo, but dude retaliates right back. Turns out that Yusuke wasn't able to get a clean hit because he can't really see where he is. He was following his voice in order to figure out where he was, but he wasn't punching in the precise places. And on top of that, even if he did manage to get close, he has that metal mask on his head, which serves as a helmet and weakens the damage as well. Bolton's on the sidelines like, usually every piece of armor has a weak point, but it's gonna be hard to find when you're in complete darkness. Yusuke is completely up against the wall right now. He's got nothing to do. And as if things couldn't get any worse, dude starts mustering his spirit energy all into his arm, and it starts to swell up and grow in power. Yusuke still don't know where he's at. All of a sudden, dude's running towards Yusuke with his little giganto arm and hits Yusuke with this little inner elbow. I don't know why this is the attack he went for, but like an inner elbow smack to the chin sends Yusuke flying anyways. It wasn't even the strongest punch he could have done. A direct punch to the chin probably smooth would have knocked him out, but shit, this is what this dude decided to do. I can't hate. Yusuke gets packed up, flying 20-30 feet away. He tries to look up, but falls right back to the ground. As Yusuke's laying on the floor, everybody's getting worried. Even Koema, who's watching this all on the TV while chilling in spirit world. But of course, Yusuke's not giving up so easy. He manages to stand on 2, but he's clearly shaking up. Dude's impressed that Yusuke's able to get back on 2, but he knows that he's got to be low on spirit energy after an attack like that. Bolton and Kuwabara are trying to cheer him on from the sidelines, but Genkai looks over and says bro's wrong about Yusuke. Normally, any person would have been shaken up by an attack like that, and they would surely be low on spirit energy, but Yusuke's wavelength is a little unique. He manages to get even stronger out of desperation. Right now, he's not focused enough on Yusuke's wavelength to actually see that he's getting even stronger than before. Genkai thinks that Yusuke's got the power to win, but if he can't see and land an attack, then everything gets thrown out the window. Dude starts another rush and hits him with a clean right to the face, but this time, Yusuke grapples onto his arm and holds him real tight so he knows exactly where he is. To be honest, this is what I was thinking in my head for Yusuke to do the entire time. Like, why didn't he do this off the jump? I feel like this is the #1 strategy when you're fighting in the dark. If you get hit, you gotta grab onto something. So bro's like, that would be a good strategy if I wasn't a master martial artist, which includes the art of grappling. So he grabs Yusuke and starts spinning him around in a circle like he Taz. This shit is crazy. But he ends up throwing him, sending him flying in the air, completely nullifying Yusuke's little counterattack. Dude walks up to Yusuke and of course starts talking trash. He's like, I feel bad whooping on an amateur like you. This ain't even fair. How about this? If you go ahead and apologize and say you sorry, I'll let you walk away with your life, but I'ma still take the dub. I'll even open up my ear plate so I can hear your apology with my actual ears. He's like, you better put that mask back on before I knock it off your head. I'm not playing. I'm about to win this fight. He obviously thinks Yusuke's bluffing. He's already sustained all type of damage and Yusuke's yet to get a clean hit in. But Yusuke's like, I'm not the type to make excuses. Hurry up and start your weak ass attack. So dude jumps into the darkness and starts talking his ass off. Ain't nobody really care, but he giving props on Yusuke about how he survived so long, and he's honestly surprised that he could get back up standing after taking those hits. But as he gets closer and closer to Yusuke, he yells out like, "I know you scared. I could see your body trembling with fear." Whole time, Yusuke's charging up his spirit gun. He like, "I'm not trembling from fear, dumbass. I'm powering up." As he points his spirit gun and sends it right at dude's head, shattering dude's mask and sending him flying back. He looked back up at Yusuke like, "How the f did you see me? What even happened?" Yusuke like, "They answered right in front of you." Dude looks down and he's got something glowing from his belt. The closer we look, it's a slightly lit cigarette that Genkai had threw way back when she was yelling at him for quote unquote delaying. A couple minutes ago, Yusuke had noticed it and picked it up, and when bro was doing his little grappling wrestling move, he snuck it underneath dude's belt, and since he had the mask on, he was completely blind, couldn't hear, couldn't smell. He was completely oblivious to the fact that he had a cigarette right there in his pocket. And finally, when he got close enough to attack, Yusuke could see him clearly and got a clean shot right to his head. And that's how you know either this dude was weak or Yusuke really liked that, because all it took was one hit with his spirit gun and the fight was over. After Yusuke groups back up with Kuwabara and Botan, Genkai gets him ready to start going to the semifinals. The first match is the bodyguard versus Yusuke. Yusuke's getting hot like, "Whoa, can you give me a break? I just fought." But she's like, "Tough luck, little man. I ain't picked the bracket. The arrows did." Yusuke's getting mad like, "Shit, at least throw another cig out there so I could get some light again." But she's like, "No need, because the fight's not going to be fought here." As the door opens up, Genkai takes the remaining fighters to this ancient battlefield. Here in this exact field, a whole army was overcome by madness. People were killing their own men, everybody ended up dying, so it's a bunch of restless souls still lingering around here. Kuwabara is freaking out because he's getting that tickle feeling, but like times a million. It's way worse in this area. Genkai explains that on this battlefield, spirit energy starts to overflow the body. This is probably the best place on earth in order to fight with your spirit energy. The bodyguard looks down at his palm, realizing his spirit energy is already overflowing. Yusuke looks down at his finger for his spirit gun and ain't nothing coming up. He said he feel a little bit of power coming back, but not nearly enough to use a spirit gun. Finally, Yusuke and this ninja bodyguard dude match up for their fight. Ninja starts talking off the rip, talking about how unfortunate that you get bad matchups twice in a row. Yusuke's like, "Bad matchups? What are you talking about?" Ninja's like, "Clearly old dude would've won if Genkai ain't throw that cigarette. You got lucky. And as for this fight right now, I got a couple tricks on my sleeve that I know you're not ready for." As the fight starts, dude rushes him with a crazy barrage of punches. I mean, he's just running forward at full speed. Yusuke's getting pushed back, just getting punch on punch on punch on punch. That shit is wild. Then he ends up behind Yusuke, kicking him in the face, sending him right to the ground. In every fight, my man Yusuke is getting washed. This is a terrible look. The ninja starts talking, telling Yusuke that he's surprised that somebody else can also fire their spirit energy in a form like his. But of course, he says that Yusuke's is way weaker. It's not even close. Yusuke's like, "Alright then, since you want to make it fair, let's not use them." And he's like, "Don't even worry about it. I wasn't planning on it. To whoop somebody like you, I only need my fist." And he blizzes him again, about to start that same barrage from before, but this time Yusuke's ready for it. He tries to evade and run off to the side, but his foot starts sinking in the mud. He ends up getting stuck and this barrage goes on anyways. He's taking punch after punch. The final punch of the barrage sent Yusuke flying. As ninjas chasing him down, Kuwabara yells from the sideline like, "You might as well put everything into one punch, land that motherfucker, and win. It's that simple." So actually listening to Kuwabara for once, he decides to do just that. He ends up dodging Ninja's punch and retaliating with an all-out uppercut, but just barely misses. Or at least we thought. Dude ends up with a slash across his face. Even though Yusuke didn't make any physical contact, it was just the power that was stored up in his fist. His spirit energy is what made the cut. He's finally realizing what kind of power Yusuke got, so he decides to eat his words and start playing from a distance. He pulls out these 4 ninja stars, and not no weak ass ones neither. He jumps into the air and sends all 4 of them flying towards Yusuke, but all Yusuke has to do is barely move a little bit and he smoothly dodges each and every one of them. But when bro lands, he's just sitting there smiling. Yusuke's like, "Why are you so calm? You not about to make your next move?" And bro's like, "Well, you ain't dodge him just yet." We see from behind Yusuke, all the ninja stars are coming flying right back towards him. They not no regular ninja stars, of course, they're homie. As Yusuke's dodging, dude explains that these lock on to spirit energy and that they could go on for days without falling. He could dodge for as long as he want, but eventually he's gonna get hit and it's not gonna look pretty. Yusuke's dodging is starting to get slower and slower as he's starting to take little bits of damage. Finally, he gets an idea. He runs and stands right in front of a tree tree, and as the shuriken are about to hit him, he jumps out of the way so that they all run straight into the tree instead of having time to turn around and continue going towards him. Yusuke thinking he done outsmarted him, but then the ninja bombs exploded. Even if he could get away from him, he can't get away quick enough to dodge the explosion, so it's either he gets cut down or he continues taking these explosions one by one. Ninja dude thought of it all. Over on Spirit World, Koenma's like, this dude got a lot of strange powers. It's low-key looking like he might be a demon. Back in the fight, Yusuke's running from the ninja stars when he gets a final idea. He's like, if I'm gonna get exploded anyways, let's go ahead and make it worth it. He starts running towards Kuwabara, and Kuwabara's like, whoa, don't bring them towards me. But instead, he yells to Kuwabara, like, you gotta be the one to win the tournament now. You can't let Rando have it. Kuwabara looking at Yusuke like, I know you're not about to do what I think you about to do. But Yusuke just keeps on running. He starts running towards Ninja, and Ninja's preparing to use his special attack. Yusuke's like, if I'm going down, I'm gonna take you down with me. But Ninja's like, nah, I don't think so. He gets ready to launch his attack right at Yusuke, but all of a sudden, he disappears. He don't know what the just went down, but now he's got 5 shurikens going right at his head, and it's just a big explosion. We see him flying through the air, realizing that he got wiped out by his own attack. As he falls to the ground, Kuwabara and Botan are looking for Yusuke. They shouting around saying, where you at? Where you go? What happened? Botan's really starting to get concerned when a hand sticks out of a puddle. He's waving for help. When they pull it out, of course, it's Yusuke. Kuwabara's like, I ain't really take you for the strategy, but that was actually pretty clever, hiding in the pond like that. Yusuke's like, hiding? Nigga, that was on accident. I ain't even see it. I just fell. They point over to bro laid out on the ground, and he's just now realizing that he won. As Genkai pulls up, she's like, it might have been a fluke, but as long as you win, you win. So you on to the finals. Botan pulls up on Yusuke like, clearly he's not Rando. If he was, then he would have revealed his true form before he would have let himself be defeated. So by process of elimination, the real Rando is this little bald dude right here. Right after that, Genkai announced the second match of the semifinals, Kuwabara versus Lil Dude right here, who we know to be Rando. Kuwabara start mean mugging him, and Lil Man just hits this little eyebrow raise. I don't know what type of move that is, but fuck it, that's his swag. Kuwabara's happy that he's going up against a little kid. Like, oh shit, this about to be an easy dub. I'm about to be able to face Yusuke in the finals, exactly who I wanted to face. But Yusuke pulls up on him, telling him he's gotta drop out of the fight. He's like, you remember Rando, the demon I was telling you about earlier? Well, this is him in disguise. Kuwabara's like, you scared of me, aren't you? Knowing damn well Kuwabara ain't never beat him a day in his life, but he's not going to drop out of the fight. He don't care who it is. And finally, they both assume their stances, and the fight starts. Kuwabara's running, Rando's running. Kuwabara ends up landing the first strike, a clean right to my man's face. Off of one punch, he goes flying to the ground. Yusuke's like, what the hell? This Rando? He's sitting there on the ground holding his cheek like, damn, looks like this little nigga gonna take more strength than I thought. Kuwabara's like, damn, little man, that was just a little warm-up shot, you good? Krillin like, don't worry about me, I'm all good. He runs up and starts boxing, but the longer it goes on, I'm realizing he ain't doing no type of damage. He ain't laying shit. Kuwabara hits him once on the top of the head, gets sent right to the ground once again. Yusuke, Botan, and Genkai are all confused. They don't know what's going on. Kuwabara's like, what? That's it? That's the end of the fight? But Krillin's like, nah, I ain't show you all my tricks yet. So he gets into this certain stance and starts moving his hands in this funky little way. As he's doing these little movements, Botan calls out that the structure of his spirit energy is changing. He's powering up like crazy. His energy is starting to change different colors. You know it's serious when you get a different color background. That's crazy. He sticks his hand up in the air, and out of nowhere, a ball of energy and fire pops into his hand. He sticks out his other one, and the same thing happens. Genkai's like, nah, it can't be. Kid jumps up into the air and launches one of these little fireballs right at Kuwabara. He barely dodges the first one, but then lil bro throws another. Kuwabara slightly gets hit by the second one, and he's feeling the intense heat all over his body. He's trying to pat out the fire, even though he's not even on fire. He just feel all the heat. Lil man summoned another fireball as Kuwabara pulls out his spirit sword. As he throws the ball right at him, this man Kuwabara swings his sword like it's a baseball bat, and after making contact with it, sends it flying right back at him. What kind of shit is that? How does he even know he could do that? What if it just exploded? Boom, game over, he dead. Like, but the fireball goes flying right back into bro, and it looked like he going outside. Yusuke's actually surprised with Kuwabara's performance so far. He's like, even if this is Rando for real, I think he got it in the bag. Shit, Krillin like, that's the second time you done managed to survive my attack, so let's switch it up. He starts chanting these incantations, and suddenly Genkai old ass realizes she heard this before. Genkai says that there were two legendary sorcerers way back in the day who created the Circles of Inferno, which is the fireball attack, and this incantation that bruh's chanting right now. Yusuke's like, really? What does the incantation do? What's about to happen? Genkai's like, that's not important now. What's really important is that the only two people who could have taught him this chant have been dead for hundreds of years. And as if he didn't have enough proof already, that confirmed it. This little boy is Rando. We could have seen him continue this chant, and his eyes is turning red. He's starting to look crazy. Kuwabara's like, alright bruh, I'm done with your little chant, and rushes him with his spirit sword. But just before he makes it to him, he yells reduction to end the chant, and Kuwabara shrinks into a midget like 3 inches tall. Lil dude instantly go for the kill, trying to stomp on him, just crush him completely. Kuwabara's dodging around like, what the f just happened? Why are you so tall now? How you do that? But then he look around and realizes the grass is tall. This caterpillar is damn near half his size. And out of nowhere, Lil dude picks him up right off the ground. He literally got this man Kuwabara in the palm of his hand. And at this point, his little weird starting to enjoy it. He slowly starts crushing Kuwabara's bones. He's like, on a pain scale 1 to 10, how much does this hurt? As he's squeezing more and more. Right now, Kuwabara is just screaming in pain. Yusuke screaming out to him like, Kuwabara, go ahead and tell him you forfeit, bro. What are you doing? But Rando's like, no, not so soon. I didn't even really get a chance to try this technique out. So he just starts playing around with Kuwabara's shrunken body. He's tossing him up in the air, pulling at him, picking at him, and he decides to test how strong bones are after they've shrunk. So he rips the sleeve off his arm like it's nothing and starts pulling at his elbow. He's slowly adding more and more pressure with this demented look on his face. Kuwabara's going through it. He's screaming, please, no more, stop, stop. But Rando doesn't stop. He goes further and further and finally breaks the bone as Kuwabara screams out in pain. His arm is completely shattered at this point and Yusuke's not going for it. He's screaming out like he all mad, like he about to jump in, but this man runs straight to Genkai. He's like, Genkai, you gotta do something. Go ahead, whoop his ass for me. But she's like, that's not necessary. I'ma just call it a fight. So she tell this man to stop, but he's not stopping. Yusuke finally starts to charge towards him, ready to defend his mans for himself, but Rando's like, you wanted me to stop, right? So he throws Kuwabara into the air. Botan and Yusuke are searching through the grass for him as Rando's just laughing in the background. Finally, he undoes the technique, doing the chant to restore his body back to full size. But as we pan out, his arm is completely shattered. That shit is bending the entire wrong way. As Botan's examining a little more, she's like, damn near all of his bones are broken. Yusuke puts his hand on his shoulder, and Kuwabara, who's barely conscious, is like, I don't care if I don't got a single working bone in my body. We still gotta have our fight. Yusuke humors him this one time and is like, yeah, bro, you right. As he looks down at Kuwabara, Yusuke is extremely upset, but slowly that sadness is transforming into anger, all directed at Rando. Rando is just completely unfazed. He's like, I've always wanted to try that technique, but it's so impractical having to do that long ass chant for like 5 minutes. Imagine if you was fighting other people, how could you concentrate on both at one time? But if I knew the spirit wave technique, I could wipe out hundreds of people all in one blow. Isn't that right, Genkai? And she's like, yes, if it's misused. And he's like, oh no, I would never do something like that. Silly old me. Yusuke stops him right there. Like, I don't know why you talking about that spirit wave like I ain't right here. You gonna have to beat me to get it. And just so you know, I don't plan on losing. After all this time, we get our final match, Yusuke versus Rando. As they're facing off against each other, we see Yusuke's spirit energy starting to grow. It's flowing even more crazy than before. Partly because of the battlefield that they're fighting on, but also because of all the emotion he's feeling right now. He gets real angry and charges right towards Rando, landing a clean punch on Rando's left cheek. He's like, this first one is for my man's Kuwabara, and sends him flying. And he's like, I got 99 more on the way. One for each psychic whose life you took. Rando gets up and he's starting to get irritated that he really landed that clean ass punch on him. He's starting to get mad, but as he tries to move, he's feeling that his legs are starting to shake. Yusuke rushes him with another punch straight to the gut, then follows up with another punch dead in his nose. I know that hurt. Look how he's rolling backwards. But Rando gets back up as Yusuke charges for another punch. But this time, Rando hits this crazy looking pose and jumps high up into the air. He unleashes another technique, sickle, and tornado. Genkai also knew the sorcerer who created this technique. The way this technique works is it creates a vacuum around you and allows air to come out of every single cut of your body. Rando's like, that's exactly right. And with as many cuts as Yusuke has, this is sure to be extra painful. He sends the attack flying towards him and it makes direct contact with Yusuke. After the hit, he flies back, landing on the ground, but he gets right back up. Rando's surprised with his pain tolerance, saying that most people would have passed out from the pain, but you a little tough cookie, aren't you? So he sends another one right towards him. Yusuke darts right towards the attack once again. Genkai's like, is this nigga stupid? And Botan's like, nah, he just mad. He get like that. He a little emotional. Yusuke's running right towards it and decides to jump directly into the attack. We see him making contact at a whole bunch of different points throughout his body, but he's just thugging through all the pain. He's not passing out. He not crying. He going straight through it. Genkai's like, at this rate, he's going to reach the eye of the tornado, which is where Rando is. He finally makes it to Rando and ends up doing this little X formation with his hands right to Rando's neck, taking him all the way from 20-30 feet up in the air straight to the ground. After the attack, this dude is completely wiped out and Yusuke can barely even stand. He's like, bro wasn't playing about the pain. That shit is crazy. Botan's out here celebrating like, after a attack like that, this nigga finna be out for like a week. Yusuke tries moving around, but Botan's like, you might want to keep it cool for right now. But Yusuke's like, man, I'm good. I'm thugging. You seen what I just did. hello, and starts walking towards Genkai in order to start the process of learning the spirit wave. As he walks up, asking her what she thought about the fight, she's like, you shouldn't have wasted your energy walking up here. And he's like, huh? Yusuke don't know what she's talking about. But Genkai continues, your fight isn't over yet. Did you really think Rando would be defeated that easily? I'm already knowing once he heard that, Yusuke's heart dropped straight to his ass. All of a sudden, Rando starts talking again. He's like, yeah, Yusuke, you should listen to the old lady. They tend to know more things, which also means she knows that all y'all about to die because y'all are about to see my true form. The ground starts rumbling. That starts breaking apart into pieces. It's like an earthquake's happening, but all from the revealing of this figure, which turns out to be Rando's true form. He's staring Yusuke down with these red glowing eyes, and Yusuke could barely even stand at this point. He starts walking towards him, talking to himself like, this is the hard part, choosing which technique I'm gonna use first. Yusuke falls to the ground because he done already used up all of his energy. Rando asks him, what technique you think I should use? And Yusuke gets hot, musters up even more energy out of thin air, I guess that's how it works, but starts comboing Rando crazy, throwing all type of punches in his chest, in his face, in his shoulders, arms, pinky, wherever. But Rando's eating each and every one of those. Yusuke don't got no business going up against somebody like him in the shape that he's in. After all these punches, Yusuke goes for the final finishing blow, hitting him dead in the face. And after all that, Rando just looks at this man and smiles. And this when Yusuke realizes he got no chance of winning. Rando's like, them attacks was so weak because you couldn't put no spirit energy into them. They was all physical punches, and that's not enough to beat me. Rando looks at him like, I just thought of the most perfect technique to use to wipe you out. He gets into this little stance, and his spirit energy starts flowing crazy. His eyes turn white, and this thread starts coming out of his mouth. It looked crazy, but Genkai explains that this is life force thread, another technique stolen from another psychic. When this thread fully materializes, it becomes this thick substance, and Rando grabs it and starts wrapping it all around Yusuke. After it all binds together and Yusuke is trapped into one big bundle, he can't move. No matter how hard he tries, the physical strength isn't gonna do nothing for him. He's gotta get out of it with spirit energy. Yusuke is still here struggling, trying to get out, and Rando's like, I could go ahead and just crush you to pieces right now, but instead, I'm gonna use this opportunity to practice some of my techniques. Using the life force thread, he picks Yusuke up off the ground and starts swirling him in a circle. This the second time this done happened within the span of like 30 minutes for Yusuke. I know he dizzy as hell. He ends up slamming him into the ground, through a tree, back to the ground, through another tree, back to the ground again. It's looking bad for my mans. Botan's over here on the side saying that Yusuke can't do this for much longer. She's begging Genkai to step in and stop it and do something about Rando herself, but Genkai's like, she won't. She says she's getting old and her time is coming, and it would only be wrong if she were to interfere with the selection process as to who gets to learn her power. She said her technique must live on, even if for a little while it has to stay in the hands of the wicked. Botan starts getting hot. Like, think about all the innocent lives that are going to be on your hands because you're teaching this technique to this monster. But Genkai is doubling down. She's like, this is just the natural selection process. I can't do nothing about it. It's a story that I can't change. But Botan not going for none of that. Back with Yusuke, he's just getting dragged. He ain't make no progress on getting outside of this thread, and Rando's bringing him to this river. He ties him up to this tree above the water and starts doing this freaky ass chant. All of a sudden, water starts bubbling up. It's looking like something's coming up from underneath, and this big ass piranha ends up jumping out of the water. But it turns out it's not just one, but like 6 of them. Rando explains that these are called hate fish. These hate fish were brought from the depths of spirit world and react to anything that has spirit energy. As an example, Rando throws this weak ass little goblin that he had. I don't know where he had it chilling, but he threw it towards Yusuke, but when it materialized up to full size, he fell straight into the water, and after the fish were done with him, came back with nothing but bones. But Rando's like, this time I'm not only using one technique, but 2, and a technique that I just learned real recently, the spirit gun. He points his finger towards Yusuke, and both Yusuke and Botan are like, ain't no way. How did this man learn the spirit gun in like 2 seconds, bro? That shit is wild. Rando not playing no games. He charges up his spirit gun and sends it flying right at Yusuke, but really he aimed for right next to him. As it flies by him, it hits some random tree and completely obliterates it. Yusuke's like, how does learn my technique and it's already stronger than when I use it? This when Rando finally notices the fear in Yusuke's eyes. He's like, this is what I've been looking for the entire time. Getting new powers and gaining more strength is cool, but really it's the fear that makes me hunt. Just seeing your prey in complete and utter fear, feeling entirely useless, is nothing else like it. He charges up the spirit gun once again and sends it at the branch that Yusuke is being held up by. So right now, he's flying straight towards like 6-7 of these hate fish. He's mad as hell because ain't no way he gonna go out like this. Not in some type of heroic battle, not on some type of he's saving somebody. He died from being eaten by some fish. That's a bad way to go out. As Yusuke is falling through the water, Botan's getting on Genkai's head. Like, you idiot, are you really gonna let this happen? What do you gain from doing this? But all of a sudden, Kuwabara's soul leaves his body and goes straight towards the pool. Rando notices like, what the hell? Who was that? And as all the hate fish are pulling up on Yusuke, Kuwabara's soul surrounds Yusuke and all of them get sent back. Yusuke's in some type of trance and he's able to speak with Kuwabara. Kuwabara's like, no way you going out this sad, my nigga. The only reason that you stuck trapped inside of these threads is because you can't see your spirit energy. Maybe you should just hurry up and die so that they can make me spirit detective next, cause I sure would get packed up by some weak like this. And he starts laughing at him. Yusuke like, hell no, this nigga ain't gonna laugh at me after getting packed up by the same nigga before he even transformed. So responding to his emotions, Yusuke's spirit energy starts swelling up and he's finally able to break free from these life threads. It's just a straight beam of energy coming out the water, and Genkai realizes that it was Kuwabara who sent the very last of his spirit energy over to Yusuke in order to save him. Rando's like, ain't no way that really just happened, but not like it really matters. It's just more time for me to practice all of my techniques. He charges up the spirit gun once again and is just scoping out the water, waiting for him to come up. Right now, there's no signs of Yusuke, just remains of the hate fish absolutely everywhere. Finally, Rando sees some bubbles coming up out the water and he's like, there you are, and gets ready to release his gun, but all of a sudden, Yusuke jumps out from right behind him. Like, the funny thing about swamps is that they're always usually connected. So he's flying out already in the pose of his spirit gun. I don't know how he got so much hang time with this, like he got like a 15-foot vertical. That shit is wild. But Yusuke focuses and lets off his spirit gun as Rando lets his off and it starts to clash. Right now, Rando's is just way too powerful. It starts pushing Yusuke's back while Rando's feeling good about it, but all of a sudden, Yusuke's spirit gun breaks through the center of Rando's. Turns out Rando's spirit gun isn't refined enough. He didn't put in enough practice. Obviously, this is like his second time doing it, but he couldn't focus enough and get it all into one concise beam. So even though he had more power spread out throughout the whole gun, Yusuke's was way more precise. So Yusuke's spirit gun breaks through Rando's and lands a direct hit right in his chest, sending him into the water. As Yusuke lands, Botan starts to celebrate and Genkai's like, now you see why I ain't take him out? I knew he was gonna win the whole time. She's like, don't doubt my wisdom. But as soon as she started talking, some bubbling comes up from out the water. Yusuke's like, no way, bro, I can't do this again. And Genkai's like, yo, she better have to eat her words, talking about she knew Yusuke was gonna win, but the whole time Rando's been alive. As the water starts bubbling up more and more, a beam of energy comes up right through the center and the water starts evaporating around it. Soon enough, all the water had evaporated just from Rando's spirit energy. This time around, Rando's high. This the first time he felt actual pain in a minute, and he not fucking with it. He jumps into the air, landed with a punch, into a kick, into another punch, sending Yusuke back flying. He's like, I'll give you props though. After that attack, I barely got enough energy to destroy you, but as long as I got enough, it's not a problem. Whole time, Yusuke can't hear a thing. He's looking up at him like, damn, this nigga really must have got me good. I can't hear shit. Rando's like, I might not have much spirit energy left, but all I gotta do is shrink you down and crush your bones into tiny little pieces. So he locks in and starts doing his little chant. As he goes on and on, Botan's like, I can't bear to watch this shit again. We done already seen Kuwabara go through it. I don't think I could do another one. As Rando finishes up the reduction chant, he's laughing at the thought of crushing all of Yusuke's bones like he did with Kuwabara. But slowly, he starts noticing that Yusuke's not getting smaller, but instead, he actually is. He gets smaller and smaller, like, what the fuck is going on? What's happening? As he ends up the same size as Kuwabara once was. All of a sudden, there's Genkai and Botan towering over him. Genkai's like, what an amateur, defeated by your own technique. But Botan's confused. She's like, how did this even happen? Genkai explains that with chants and spoken techniques, they all work through the brain. And for that to be processed, your victim has to be able to hear the chant. If your victim can't hear your chant, then all the energy mustered through the incantation goes right back onto the user. Rando's mad as hell. Like, you telling me this knew that and I didn't? But when Yusuke gets up, he's like, why the hell is everything so quiet? He picks something out his ear, a fat ass piece of swamp algae stuffed in there from when he was underwater. Rando's hot as hell. Like, ain't no way I was defeated like this. Genkai's like, you can steal as many techniques as you want, but without practice, you're never truly gonna know the ins and outs of them, and you can easily be reversed in cases like this. Rando's like, don't think I'm done. All I gotta do is do the reversal chant, but Yusuke stops him right there. Like, you really think I'm about to let you do that? He's like, I don't even got enough energy to stomp you out, so I'll just leave the rest up to gravity. Rando tries running away, but as Yusuke is falling, he's not gonna make it. He lands with an elbow, completely crushing Rando, as Genkai announces that the winner of the tournament is Yusuke Urameshi. Y'all know what time it is, man. Shout out to everybody on the Patreon. Big shout out to the gold tier members, Javion O and Tyler Ashley. I appreciate y'all, and I'm gonna see everybody in the next one. We out.